Hi, welcome to my video on solving inequalities, linear inequalities with a single variable. Solving an inequality with a single variable, normally x, is the same as solving an equation for a single variable, except when both sides of an inequality are multiplied or divided by a negative number. What happens? If so, the symbol changes direction. Pointing to the right, greater than, changes to less than, point to the left. Greater than equal to, changes to less than equal to. Less than, pointing to the left, changes to a greater than. Less than equal to, changes to greater than equal to. And when we solve inequalities, we solve them the same way as we would solve equations. What I do is I remove the brackets, simplify each side because there's less to transpose. Transpose variables on the left, numbers on the right, to the right. Simplify each side. If you multiply or divide each side by a negative number, you change the direction of the inequality sign. So let's practice some. Solve for x. X is already on the left side, let it stay. Move the minus 1 over to become a plus 1. And x is greater than negative 3. B, 2x. All the x's are on the left, all the numbers are on the right, so we just got to divide by 2. Divide by 2, they cancel out. They give me 1. There's 1's there. And less than or equal to negative 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Negative divided by positive is negative. C. I have x's on the left, okay. Numbers on the right, okay. No variables or numbers to transpose, so I'll divide both sides by negative 3. And negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a 1. 1 is understood, they cancel out. And negative divided by a negative is a positive. 12 divided by 3 is 4. But when you divide or multiply by a negative number, it changes direction. So greater than becomes less than equal to. And notice up here you divide it by 2, so you didn't have to change the direction. Here I'm dividing by 8, and they cancel, and I get x. And that's dividing by a positive number, so I don't have to change the direction. And 2 into 6 goes 3, 2 into 8 goes 4, so reduce it down. E. I have to, the x is on the left, great. I have to move the 7 to the right side. So negative 6x less than 19 minus 7. Simplify the left side and I get a 12. And I divide both sides by negative 6. They cancel to give me 1x. And because I divide it by a negative, the less than changes to a greater than. Positive divided by negative is a negative number, and we get a 2. F. We have a double negative in F, first thing I see, so we make a double negative, make 2 of them plus. Move the variables to the left, so negative 14 plus 10x greater than 26, and as a plus 2 becomes a minus 2. Variables go to the left, numbers go to the right. And when you do, you change the signs. Negative 14 plus 10 is negative 4x greater than, and that gives me a 24 when I subtract. I'm dividing both sides by negative 4, and negative divided by negative positive, so that's a 1x. I'm dividing by a negative, so I make that less than, and that gives me negative 6. Again, when you divide an inequality or multiply an inequality by a negative number, you change the direction. Continue. More examples. And notice we have to remove the brackets first. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Greater than. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. I have to move the variables to the left and numbers to the right. 6x. The plus 5 becomes a minus 5. and the minus 10 is okay, I didn't move it, and minus 8 becomes a plus 8, and 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 is understood to be there, greater than negative 2. And we have another one to do. Let's see, have to obey. So before we begin this, if you want to add on the opposite, or you could put a 1 here. If you put a 1 right there like that, now you're multiplying by any number outside of a bracket, multiplied by distributed to the inside. So 3 times negative 2x is negative 6x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 1 times negative 10 is a plus 10x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, greater than equal to. Negative 4 times a half, positive. Half of 4 is 2x, negative and negative positive. And negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So we remove the brackets. Now I'm going to simplify each side first. So I'm going to add the x's, and I'll get a 4x. Negative 6 and 10 is 4. And a negative 9 subtract 3 is a negative 12, greater than or equal to 2x. So I simplified the left side, because if I do, I'll have less to transpose. Now I move the x's to the left. So the plus 2x becomes negative 2x. And the minus 12 is right there. So this minus 12 moves over to become a plus 12. 4 subtract 2 is 2. Greater than or equal to, and negative 12 plus 12 is 0. I divide both sides by 2. They cancel. I get x, and I divide it by a positive number, so it doesn't change direction. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So what we have now is a practice, and practice means is that you pause the video, you work all these out, play the video back to see if you have the right answers. Good way to check your work. Here we go. X is already on the left, so let it stay. Move the plus 4 over. So I got a minus 4 here. Plus 4 moved over to become a minus 4. So x is less than. Negative 4 subtract 4 is negative 8. That one's done. And x's are on the left. Great. Numbers are on the right. Perfect. Don't add the move ending. And I divide both sides by negative 2. Negative divided by negative positive, so I get a 1. And because I divide by negative, it changes direction. And negative divided by negative positive, 3. Notice when you divide by negative, you change the direction. Greater than to less than to greater than. Double negative, 2 negatives, change into a positive. X is already on and this one moves over, so 7x is okay. 3x moves over to become minus 3x, and the plus 16 becomes minus 16. Now we simplify the left side, and we get a 4x greater than negative 16. Divide both sides by 4. X's cancel, I get a 1x, and I'm dividing by a positive number, so the direction don't change, and I get a negative 4. Number 4. We have no brackets, so we move the x's to the left and numbers to the right. So negative 8x, add on 5x. Because it's negative here, move over becomes plus. And I got a 6, stays there. Negative 9 becomes a plus 9. Simplify each side, and I get a negative 3x less than equal to 15. And divide by negative 3. They cancel to give me 1x. I divide it by a negative, so that becomes greater than equal to. And it's a negative 5. Positive divided by negative is negative. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Number 5, we have to remove the brackets by distributive property. So negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 7 is a plus 28. And 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 22 is 44. X is moved to the left, numbers to the right. So negative 4x plus 4 over here on the right moves to the left to become negative. 44 is already on the right side, so we don't change it. And the 28 moves to the right side to become negative 28. Negative 4 subtract 4 is negative 8. Less than. 48 subtract 20, 44 subtract 28 is a 16. We're dividing both sides by negative 8. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 is 1. They cancel out. And because I'm divided by negative, that becomes a greater than. And we get a negative 2. Working fine. How well did you do? Hopefully everything is going great. Solving equations. Linear equations or linear inequalities in this case. Now, practice again means pause the video and work these out to see if you're going to get the right answers. Here we go. And again, I'm subtracting, so I can add on the opposite. So if I want, I can subtract, so I can make that adding on the opposite is a negative 6x, and opposite of negative 5 is a plus 5. Another way to do it is to put a 1 right there and go negative 1 times 6x, negative 6x, negative 1 times negative 5 is plus 5, plus x, and I have 2/3 times 9. Well, I know that negative times a positive is a negative, so let's multiply 2/3 by 9. The 9 is over 1, so 3 into 9 goes 3, so I get a 6x. And I got to multiply 2/3 by 6, and 6 over 1. And again, a negative times a positive is a negative number. I don't have to put the negative 2/3 here because I'll make it negative here. 3 into 6 goes twice, and 2 2s are 4. You could also multiply 2 by 6 to get 12, and then divide by 3 to get 4. Your choice. And we simplify each side before we transpose. So 8x plus 1x is 9x. Oh, I got a 6 here too, so I missed the 6. Got to be careful. That's a 2, so that's a 3. That's a 3x right there. Plus 5 greater than or equal to negative 6x minus 4. So again, 8 subtract 6 is 2. 2 plus 1 understood is 3, and a 5. Now the x's move to the left, numbers to the right. So I get 3x plus 6x greater than or equal to minus 4. 5 moved over to become a minus. So notice the 6 moved to the left side to become plus, and the 5 moved to the right side to become minus. Simplify. 9x greater than or equal to negative 9. 3 and 6, the like terms, I get 9. And I divide by 9. The 9's cancel, and I get a 1x. Because I divided by 9 is positive, the direction doesn't change. And negative 9 divided by 9 is negative 1. And we have another one to do, and we have to make sure we get rid of our brackets first by distributive property. So this one's a little bit different, but it works out. Let the math flow when you're working things. It might look different, but work the math. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 3 is 9x. Now I have, that's a negative 4. Remember, this is plus a negative, so it's the minus 4 times these two. It gives you negative 4x and plus 4 greater than. Now I multiply the 3 by each one of these. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And all the x's move to the left side. So I get a 3x squared. Oh, what I should do, better obey, simplify the left and the right side first if possible. So I can simplify these two. So let's do that. Be consistent. Consistency is very important in math. So I simplified the left side. The right side is already simplified. Now I move my x's to the left. I'll keep the squares first because I'll do descending order. And 3x squared moves over to the left to become minus. Then I do 5x. And I got a negative 6x because the 6x moves over to become minus. and I got a negative 15, and the plus 4 becomes minus 4. Notice that 3x squared, and they add up to give you 0. So, and 5 subtract 6 is negative 1x, or just negative x. And we add those, and we get negative 15 subtract 4 is negative 19. That's understood to be 1, so I'll divide by negative 1. Again, that's a 1 right there. So I divide both sides by negative 1. That gives me x. Because I divided by a negative number, greater than becomes less than. And I get a 19 when I divide. So that's solving inequalities, linear inequalities in a single variable. Same as solving equations. Only when you divide or multiply in the last step by a negative number, you have to change the direction. If you like my video, click the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell if you are a subscriber, because I'm adding videos on to my site all the time. Write a comment on my video if you're a subscriber, and visit my math website at www.mathfullyexplained.com, and there you'll find information about me, my videos, and the content. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.